Sometimes you don't need to say much to make a point. In a medium that increasingly asks for hours, days, or even weeks of our time to tick off side quests, chase high scores, and grind seasonal content that resets every fortnight, there's something refreshing about a game you can see through to 100% in a single afternoon. Better still when you actually want to. And that's my pitch for Raider Kid and the Ruby Chest. The game landed in my inbox courtesy of Brazilian indie outfit Cacareco Games, who sold me with a delightfully succinct pitch: Link's Awakening meets Wario Land 3. As someone who once made a futile call to arms for more Wario-vania games on Steam, I feel vindicated that someone actually answered. In practice though, Raider Kid plays closer to a Game Boy Color edition of Metroid, though a little smaller in scale, lighter in stakes, and sillier in tone. You play as Alex, a treasure-obsessed kid who slips away from a tourist trap to plunder some ancient ruins. It's a breezy setup that suits the game's throwback feel perfectly, and the Wario Land 3 influences pay off in a few genuinely fun callbacks later on that are best left unspoiled. What helps is that the writing is consistently funny, whether that's a cutscene gag, something daft the player stumbles into, or an item description that's clearly having a great time with itself. From a familiar side-scrolling perspective, Raider Kid starts by hemming you into a modest cluster of rooms before gradually opening up as you collect the expected traversal upgrades: a hefty hammer for smashing crumbling bricks, climbing gear for scaling surfaces, and scuba equipment for plunging to previously inaccessible depths. A Metroidvania lives and dies by how good those upgrades feel to use, and while nothing here is groundbreaking, everything is handled with care. The controls are light, movement is snappy, and there's enough variety in how each ability reshapes the environment to keep things feeling fresh, rather than going through the motions. There's always a risk with games like this that they run out of steam just before the finish line, but Raider Kid stays sharp throughout. The map is a dense square, roughly 16 rooms wide by 13 tall, and each is a near single screen puzzle of navigation and combat, usually with something hidden in the walls if you're willing to look. It's compact and deliberate, and whenever I started to sense the walls closing in, the game reliably had an answer ready, be it a new ability, a newly opened route, or a shortcut I'd overlooked. The developers go further still in making the whole thing feel accommodating. You can toggle off damage entirely, a neat nod to Wario Land 3's forgiving approach, and a handful of late game upgrades polish out some of Metroid's prickly design. Fast travel makes the final collectible sweep feel like a victory lap rather than a chore, but the real standout is a dowsing pendulum that turns the map itself into a secret hunting tool. It's a small but genuinely clever ad, and the kind of idea I'd love to see other developers taking notes on. Framing the whole adventure within a Game Boy Color style device does more than just sell the aesthetic. Although the chiptune quality sound and solid sprite work are given a great frame, it ties neatly into the fantasy of Alex on a vacation adventure, like you're the one playing a game in the back of a car on your way to somewhere boring. The game even leans into it with some 4-4 nudging unlocks that let you deck out the handheld frame with stickers. Mechanically pointless, but it makes the whole thing feel a little more personal, a little more yours. Raider Kid would make an excellent entry point into the wider world of Metroidvanias, particularly for younger players, and at $8 it's worth considering even if a short runtime sounds like a red flag. It's a game that understands that working within time constraints, whether that's the limitations of the Game Boy Color or a 2-hour runtime, can make everything hit harder, less of a diluted soup and more a concentrated drop. And in a genre already packed with classics worth revisiting, it more than earns its place.